I'm recording this video from a villa that I own outright. Just a few years ago, I was pretty broke and I was very stuck, very confused, very unaware of where I was going, what I was doing. I wanted to start a business, but I was scared to start a business. I didn't want to get a job, but I felt like I kind of had to get a job because I just graduated college. So I applied to some jobs and I didn't get any. I was in this whirlwind of a place, not sure where I was going, not sure which path was going to be the best for me. Would I be better with the kind of safe corporate route? Would I be better starting my own business? I really didn't know. You know, growing up, naturally, I wasn't the most confident. I was very introverted and I was quite shy. So you take that and then you add in this confusion and this kind of lack of direction, lack of clarity on where I'm going. And that made me feel pretty low. So the goal today is very simple, right? The goal is to kind of connect the dots of how I went from that place. Very confused and very stuck to where I'm at now. Now, everyone is human that you see online, okay? So me saying at the start of this video that I have now a villa that I own outright, and I actually have another property that I own outright, and I've got some nice things, and I have a level of security and freedom that I genuinely used to dream of. I'm still human. I'm not perfect, and I don't claim to have it all figured out because nobody, literally nobody you see online has it all figured out. Again, my goal is simple. It's to just connect the dots. Then you can decide yourself if that sounds like something you want to go through. I'm going to walk you through the journey, how it happened, what I did, mistakes I made, everything. The decision then is up to you. I'm not going to tell you that you have to do this and you should do just this one thing. That's on you. But at least let me show you how I did it. So this whole idea of starting an online business that could make me lots of money really kind of started for me back when I was quite young. You know, at age 12, I used Photoshop to design a few graphics and, you know, I sold a few of these graphics online. I would create some YouTube banners. You know, if you go on a YouTube channel, it has like that little banner, that kind of image on the top of it. Yeah, I used to create a few of those and I sold a few in these kind of like Skype communities that I was a part of. A pretty weird place of the internet, to be honest. Everybody was anonymous. Nobody used their names. We all had kind of like tag names, but it was kind of like that first introduction into this world. And it's funny because I got into that world because I was playing Xbox, I was playing Call of Duty, right? You probably remember there was kind of like little clans, and again we'd all go by certain code names, and a lot of those guys would record their gameplay, right? They would literally record it with, I believe there was this device called an Elgato that would record your gameplay, and then you could take that and upload that to YouTube. And this is where obviously you would have seen people start things like FaZe Clan on YouTube. So that's how I got into this little weird community, right? I was playing video games. I spent way too much time playing them. And then I was very interested in kind of this, I guess, this other side where people were actually sharing what they were doing, putting these videos out online. And I could see like this was probably something they were doing because they were getting sponsorships or getting these deals or even free products. So I was thinking, all right, there's definitely some money to be made there. So really from that point all the way to when I was 14, 15, 16, I was always kind of just aware, okay, you can make money online. I should probably try doing things online, see if I enjoy it and see if it sticks. I did things like building meme pages on Twitter. At a point, I had about 3 million followers across a bunch of pages. I would sell the odd shout out here and there to like a small, let's say, e-commerce business. They might pay me $30 and I'd post them on my pages. That led to some other stuff like a little bit of drop shipping, a little bit of e-commerce. Nothing substantial, nothing that would be life-changing, nothing to give me that long-term security of something I could do forever, but definitely a good intro into this world. And if you're watching this, you can probably relate to that, right? You've probably seen online businesses. You've probably maybe explored them. Maybe you've tried some. Maybe you've tried some trading, a bit of crypto, a bit of Forex or something along those lines. And if you have, even if you lost money, it's good because you've tried, okay? You've stepped outside of the comfort zone and you've kind of allowed yourself to explore the options out there. Because for anything that I've done so far that's worked, there's been a bunch of things before that didn't work. So to get to the position I'm in now, where the last couple of businesses I've been involved with have done really well, before that there was kind of that string of not so good stuff. So it was really only when I was coming to the end of my college journey that I decided, yeah, you know, this whole job market doesn't really seem like it's for me. As I mentioned, I did apply to some jobs when I was finishing up college. I was very confused, very unaware of where I was going. And I always knew deep down I wanted to have my own business. That's why I was so interested in these online ways of making money from a young age. And so once I finished then, it was very much kind of this light bulb moment. There was this one job offer that I applied to, put a lot of time into the interview process. And I got a reply back in email saying you were declined, you didn't get it, you know, try again next year or whatever. And this that moment that you would think I'd be very annoyed and upset and maybe even angry about, I was absolutely delighted. I was ecstatic. I smiled, when I got this email, because I realized, wow, that now has just saved me 2 years of being locked in that job where I would have made about maybe 25,000 per year for those 2 years. Probably would have spent most of that money anyway just on rent and living expenses, would have been probably left with no money at the end of that 2-year period, or very, very little, and 2 years that I would have maybe felt that were wasted. So that for me was the sign for me to go all in on building an online business. Now, this time I was going to do it differently. I was a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and I guess had a little bit more experience to know what was going to make the most sense long term. So the bit of e-commerce, the bit of drop shipping that I did, the little bit of YouTube thumbnails and meme pages on Twitter, I knew that wasn't going to be sustainable, right? I knew that those weren't going to be long-term opportunities that I could do for the next 10 or 20 years. So I then found social media marketing, and it kind of was the, this epitome of everything I had done. Everything I had done so far was somewhat related to marketing, somewhat related to social media. So it just made sense to me. I had a little bit of understanding of how this would work. I could 100% see that businesses would pay for this. I just had to figure out how to learn enough to be able to sell these services and then deliver these services. Simple as that. So that's when I went all in on this. Now, as you probably have right now, I had so many doubts, so many beliefs, so many myths that I had heard that really weren't true. When I heard about this business, I assumed, okay, the only way to get clients is you get clients in your local town, you visit them in person, or you cold call them. And those two ideas scared me. I didn't want to work with businesses in my local town. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to get out of there. I didn't want to be linked to my town. I also was a little bit scared that, hey, if I did sign a client in our local area, well, maybe I do a good service, but maybe he's not happy. That's a possibility. And I didn't really want then that kind of, stigma in the town to kind of go around. And so naturally then I had to start to look at other ways, okay? I had to think outside the box, do more research, and figure out how I could get clients on a global scale, okay? Clients in America, clients in the UK that would still pay me good money and still need my help, but wouldn't need me to be there in person. So that's where I really lent into using Instagram, using LinkedIn, using email to get clients. Because again, I could do it without really showing my face to them, only then having them, do a meeting on Zoom with me after they had expressed that they actually had an interest in what we were doing. And as an introvert, this was scary, of course, getting on a Zoom call, right, with a business owner explaining social media marketing, and then to ask them to pay me $1,000 a month, that was scary, obviously. But it's funny because now most introverts that we work with inside of my mentorship program do really, really well. They're really good listeners. They're really good at just letting the other business, or letting the other person, the business owner, speak and really voice out their concerns, what they're worried about, what they really want to get out of social media. And for sales, that's one of the best things you can do. Sit back, relax, ask some questions, and just get clarity from them. And so I found that sales was actually something that wasn't too difficult for me. Someone that was really shy growing up, really not confident, an introvert, I just assumed that I'd have to be that guy, as we say in Ireland, that has the gift of the gab, which I definitely did not have. And this worked, okay? Contacting clients online, getting them on Zoom meetings actually worked. It didn't work right away, okay? So it's not like I picked up my phone, sent a couple of messages on Instagram, and got a client that same day, okay? If you have that idea of business, just get it out of your head. It's going to take time. You're going to have to be very committed to this. You're going to have to be disciplined. Nothing good comes without a little bit of hard work. I can tell you now, right? My first client paid $1,200 per month. Now I had a business partner, right? So that would have been split 50-50. But I remember looking at that payment come in going, whoa, that's okay. We're both going to make at least $500 a month from this. We might take a little bit of that and pay some freelancers that will help us out with some of the work, right? But we're going to make 500 profit each from that one client. And this light bulb moment of, oh my days, if I can do this once, let's do it again. Let's get another client. Let's get another client. Let's get 5, let's get 10 clients. And so my business grew really fast. It took me a very long time to start and actually get that courage. And all I needed to do was just take that first leap, but I was scared as shit. And once we did, and we got that first client, my eyes lit up. So we went from 1 client to about 10 clients in about 45 days, which is very uncommon. That's pretty rare. And that was simply because I became obsessed. All I could think about, all I did was that. I would read a book and all I would think about is the strategies in that book and how I could apply that to my marketing business. I would listen to a podcast, I would listen to an audiobook, anything that I did, I would just be thinking, cool, I can take that, I could try that, I could use that in my business. Obsessed. And that is how we grew so fast. But the thing is, anybody can send 10 Instagram DMs a day. But the person who wins is the person that does 10 a day every day. Or they do more, right? And they do 50 a day every day. But the person who does the work consistently, puts the inputs in that they know eventually will get them that output, are the people that win. That's why, like even in this last month, we had someone join our program within 2 to 3 weeks, first client signed. Why? Because they came in, realized exactly what they needed to do. We gave them all the support they needed and they took action. Now look, going from obviously 1 client to 10 clients, that of course puts a strain on your ability to serve all those clients. So it's at this time where we really had to look at outsourcing. We really had to look at building systems and structure so that, going from 10 clients to 20 clients was actually possible, because where we were at with those 10 clients, we couldn't have scaled much further. We were pretty maxed out and we were both putting in a few hours a day. So that's when we started to hire client managers and people that would essentially do all of the communication, that would talk to our clients, that would talk to our graphic designers and video editor freelancers so that they could just get everything done for the clients. My job then kind of shifted into purely just focusing on sales, bringing in new clients, managing communication with maybe some prospects that didn't sign up with us, okay, that were interested, but it wasn't the right timing for them right then. Managing that process, checking in with them and making sure that when the time was right, that we were the first people they thought of and they signed up with us. And as this all started to grow, I got incredible shiny object syndrome, right? Because when you start making, say 10,000 per month, you start thinking about investing in the stock market. You start thinking about doing some crypto. You start thinking about starting another business on the side, right? You get such shiny object syndrome. And then you've got the kind of temptation of lifestyle inflation. Do I get a super nice, 2,000-3,000 a month apartment, beachfront in a foreign country and kind of travel the world, go to Thailand for 1 month, go to Vietnam for another month? Or do I lock in and do I scale this thing up? Now you can do both. But in my journey, I started in a time when COVID was around, which meant that I couldn't actually really travel, which was very good because it made me kind of just lock in my parents' house for a few months and really build things up until we had more of that structure, the team members in place, more systems, so that we could then actually enjoy a bit more, take some more time off, travel and still make good money. But that shiny object syndrome is something that you need to be aware of, because as you're starting, you'll have shiny object syndrome. You'll send some messages, you won't get clients right away. You'll see another guy on YouTube and go, boom, he's got the perfect business, I'm going to go and do that thing. Then once you get some clients, again, you're going to have that shiny object of maybe I could sell something else and it would be easier, make more money, and hence should be the thing that I should focus on. So you got to look at yourself today and say, hey, look, I'm just going to be consistent. I'll be persistent with this one thing. I'll make this one thing work and then I'll push it to the limit. Your limit might be 5,000 per month. That's okay. You don't have to build a 6 or multi-6 figure or 7 figure a year business. If you're happy with starting a business that makes you 5,000 a month, that allows you to quit your job and travel whenever you want, unbelievable. You should go and do it. That's amazing. But if you want to do that, or you want to go and scale the big company, you are going to have to get over lack of discipline. You're going to have to show up each day. You're going to have to learn how to be incredibly consistent. You're going to have to learn how to get over your fear of failure and the imposter syndrome of I don't feel ready yet. And to be honest, look, for most people, they need to look at mentorship. They need to look at getting guidance from somebody that's walked the walk, that's done the thing, and can actually support you throughout the entire process, not just give you a basic course and kind of the outline of what to do, but actually will support you. That when you have a call coming up with a business owner, that you can talk to them and get their feedback to get you ready for the call. That kind of mentorship is what we see separate the people we work with and the people who kind of sit on the fence just thinking and plotting and thinking one day they'll start a business like this. The people we work with come in and they go, cool, guys, give me the plan. Walk me through the plan, keep me accountable, check in with me, make sure I'm on track, and that's exactly what we do. Now, in the more kind of later stages of building a business like this, once you've got your team in place, you're eventually going to step back even from the sales side of the business. My agency specifically, we got to a point in and around between kind of $40,000 to $50,000 per month where one of our client managers moved into a sales role. So essentially, at that point, I would spend a lot of my time on sales, managing the pipeline, following up with leads, and taking calls. Now, this meant that she would get commission for the calls that she was taking. She would get a commission on any deal she closed. We would give her 10%, which in my eyes was well worth it, because I could give her 10%, manage and kind of check in with her on a daily basis and review some of the calls she was doing, but have her kind of lead the ship. That way I could take a step back in my position. That's when I kind of put a lot more time into the mentorship that we now do. It was something I wanted to start for a very long time. I had a lot of passion for it. And I knew in that kind of phase we were in, 40 to 50,000 per month in recurring revenue in the business, that wasn't going to be a business that we were going to grow to 100,000 a month or 200,000 a month. That's not to say that you can't get a social media marketing business to that level. Of course you can. But I could see with the way that we had things set up that we were at a pretty good point. Profit was high, stress was low, and the team was nice and manageable. And that's where we wanted to keep things. So it kind of just gave me the time then. It gave me the mental space to be able to do more of what we were doing now. So more of the mentorship, more of creating content like this and putting it out online. So for me to get to this place now, the position that you see I'm in now, having this kind of level of freedom that I really truly would have once dreamt of, it really was only possible because of my first proper business, my social media marketing agency. A business that did over $1 million in revenue, a business that showed me everything I needed to know about getting into online business, how to build a team, how to learn the right skills of sales and marketing and communication, and then how to start a spin-off business, the mentorship that we do now, that could kind of only really exist because of that first business. Everything I have is literally a testament to social media marketing. I am indebted to social media marketing. And so if you are going to start an online business, I am obviously biased because it's what worked for me. But I just don't see another opportunity that is as good as this. That gives you the most long-term skills to build something sustainable, something that has monthly recurring revenue, and something that can last you years. That's all I've got to say, really. If you have more questions on my story and what I did, of course, let me know. If you want to see the people that we've now helped do what I've done, you can see tons of that on my YouTube channel here. I've got tons of interviews here on YouTube with people that have come into my program at zero and that have scaled up to, in some cases, 5,000 a month, some cases 10,000 a month, some cases 20, 30,000 per month. I don't see this industry going anywhere in the next few years. It is here to stay, and there's so many more success stories that I know we're going to create. If you do want to get obviously more details on the mentorship we do, there's two options. You'll see a link in the description of the video where you can go ahead and book a call with me. And then there's also a link to my Instagram. Feel free to message me, shoot me some questions, and we can chat on there.